Morning, everyone. So yesterday I filmed part two with Stuart. Turns out we're gonna have to do a part three to talk about some of the stuff he's doing now. Uh, so this part of the interview sort of goes from day one in rehab up until sort of coming out of rehab. To be honest, it was pretty emotional. But that's what happens when people get real. So hope you enjoy it. Leave comments, share the video, like the page. You know the deal. Let's keep sharing the message. Cheers.
Okay, so we're back with Stuart for part two. Thanks for coming back, Stu.
No problem.
Good to see you again.
Good to be back.
So, end of part one, you just been to the soup kitchen with Swanee
Yeah.
and were about to go into rehab. So, tell us, like, that process that got you to rehab.
Right. So basically, from start to going in was quite quick. Really, it was a matter of a couple of weeks, to be fair, which is not necessarily how it is for a lot of people. Today is for as a no now, because obviously before I went into treatment, I knew nothing about anything really. And basically, Swanee had come to see me, or he'd seen me when I'd made the noose out of barbed wire, and he said, right, we've got to get you away. You're not safe to be out here. And he knew a woman called Jackie, bless her. And I owe a lot to Jackie. And she had some dealings with the Carpenter's Arms, and he says, I know a woman that has a bit to do with the Carpenter's Arms, and he put me in touch with her, and she used to go to the soup kitchen. And, she went out of her way to get a application form. She met me on the Sunday. I went down with my sister into McDonald's in Loughborough and filled out the application form, and then I heard back that they wanted me to go in for an interview, and I went in and I met Brian Spence, the director. Had an interview, and I basically got told, keep ringing up once a week and try and reduce on your alcohol. And I would be needing a detox, but they was going to do that because at the time they'd done a Librium chemical detox. And I just had to keep ringing up, and it was probably going to be 2 months before they could get me in. And I'm thinking, that's fine. And then I can remember I rang up, I think it was 1:30, it was a Thursday, it was only a couple of weeks. I rang up on the Thursday. Oh yeah, Stuart, Hardy Taylor, I'm just calling in. Right, yeah, I was drinking, going Stuart, blah blah blah. Yeah, and it was a no now. Keith, old boy, he's a legend, absolute legend, love him to bits. And so basically, I just heard in the background someone shout, "Is that Hardy Taylor?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he says, "All right, tell him we've got a bed for him Monday." And he says, "Oh, apparently," he says, "you can come in Monday. We've got a bed for you Monday." And straight away, my addict, my alcoholic just went, "What? You said it was going to be 2 months?" And I just,
At that point, like, I think mine was a bit different because I didn't know much about going to rehab, and I had caught the day before with a drink drive, so I made sure I was sober.
Yeah.
But I definitely thought about having one last massive blowout. Did that cross your mind?
Oh, immensely.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, right at that point, I said, "Well, you said it was going to be 2 months," and I heard the voice in the background shout again, "Well, tell him if you don't want it, we'll get someone else."
Yeah.
And I mean, we've just had a conversation about God's will and my will, and I'm so thankful to God that God took over my voice then and just went, "No, no, it's all right. I will take it. I might as well come in." Because every part of me didn't want to,
Yeah.
I wanted that 2 months.
Yeah.
Another 2 months of drinking, another 2 months of using, another 2 months of pain.
Yeah.
But that's how mad this game is.
Yeah.
Someone's offering me a lifeline here, and I'm still like, hold on, I don't know if I want this. Well, anyway, I put the phone down, and yeah, that bender you're on about, I went on the mother of all benders. I went out that day and I got absolutely blasted. I had my son. I told the ex-wife that I was going into rehab and this and that. And then I had my son up until the Sunday dinner. And I had to say goodbye to him. And wow, that's, horrendous. Knowing that I weren't going to be allowed to speak to him for 2 weeks. And, our sort of like life was going to be totally different for the next 6 months. Well, it turned out to be 6 months. I thought I were only going in for 3 months, and it ended up being nearly 6. But wow, as soon as the ex-wife drove away with my boy, oof, I went on the mother of all benders. I mean, at that point in time, I was like, I don't know if I said it before, I was sleeping on the streets insanely, and in car parks and woods and stuff and whatever. And I can remember saying to myself, I'm not going to do this. I'm doing this properly. This is the start of my new life. I'm going to do this properly. And I went out and I ended up getting absolutely blasted in the afternoon. I went down one of my friend's house, bless her, sex pesting. I was like, you got to bear in mind, like, listen everyone, yeah, I weren't the man I was today. Yeah, I weren't the man I was today. And I was like, and this person, love her to bits, like one of the lads, really. Yeah. And I'm going away and I'm absolutely blasted. And I'm like, come on, I'm going away for 6 months. Come on, sort me out before I go away. Come on. She's like, yeah. She gave me a lift home. So she's going rehab tomorrow. You need to go home. Look at stay here. So she gave me a lift home. And I think, I don't know what time it was, about tea time-ish or whatever it was. I can remember just getting home and I went better and I just, oh, that's it, flat out. And I was like, right, I'm going to do this. Well, I went home thinking I'm going to pack my stuff and everything. And when I just lay on the bed and bang, I was gone. And then I woke up. And as soon as I woke up, that obsession just, wow, it was on me straight away. And I went straight back out. I went straight back out drinking and I found myself sitting in a doorway at gone midnight, staring at the Beacon bingo. I'd got a few quid, couple of quid or so in my pocket, and I had to make a decision on whether to walk up the 24-hour, because it was Sunday night, walk up the 24-hour petrol station to get another can, or go and get something to eat from Maxim Chicken. I stunk like an ashtray, and I was picking Dockers up off the floor all the time. My inside pocket was like full of Dockers. I had a big duffel kind of coat thing, and I was stunk. And I was just, wow, a mess. And I went and I got some chicken from Maxim Chicken. Decided I was going to get something to eat. And I can remember sitting in there, and there were these people opposite, and they just basically said, there were 2 people left. There were 2 women and one bloke. A bloke and the woman left, and it just left this woman. And she just basically just looked across and she just went, you alright? Is it alright if I come and sit with you? And I was like, do what you want. And I ended up going home with her. You know what I mean? I'm just absolutely gobsmacked that I ended up going home with this woman, and then, you know what I mean? I looked a tramp. She stunk like an ashtray, and I mean stunk like an ashtray, and I was absolutely paranoid. Chicken hanging out of my mouth. You know what I mean? And I ended up going home with her. And I ended up staying there until the next morning, about 8 o'clock, and I've got to be in rehab for 10. And I always say this in my testimony or whatever now, you know what I mean? I firmly believe that God put that woman in that place and said, go on, fill your boots or whatever. A lot of people might want to disagree. That's because you're never ever going to treat women like this again. You're never going to look at a woman like a piece of meat again. And I can remember going home at 8 o'clock in the morning. My dad kicked off. Look at the state here. And this is how I used to be. Look at the state of you. You've got to be down there for 10 o'clock. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Fucking put a suit on and a tie. That's just what they're expecting, innit? That's how I used to speak to my old man, you know. You're 80-something year old. Well, that's upset me. And, yeah, I tidied myself up, got all my clothes, shoved them in my mum's shopping trolley, which was a standing joke because all the way through my treatment, every time I rung my mum up, I said, "When am I getting my shopping trolley back?" Because it was just under my bedding ring. When am I getting my shopping trolley back? And anyway, cut a long story short, my dad gave me a lift downtown, and he said, "I'll drop you off." And I went, "No, I'm not going to do. Just drop me off in town." And I cadged a couple of quid off him before I left, and as we were walking away, and I'm going to try and get through this one without getting upset because this always hits me. As I was just about to walk away, he says, "Son," and I turned around and he says, "You've got to do this." He says, "You've got to do this." He says, "You've got to do it for yourself." He says, "But also you've got to do it for your mum." He says, "Because I'm not going to be here forever." He says, "And your mum needs you." And you know, this is the level of selfishness that alcoholism and drug addiction and just addiction thing will just put on you. You know, and he's just gave me a statement like that, and I just turned to him and I went, "Well, fucking hell, thanks for letting that on, mate. Cheers." And I just turned and I walked away. And I walked through the town and I went and got a couple of cans and I sat on the corner of Moor Lane on the curb, drinking my last two cans, burning my lips with a fag nubs. Bastard! All that. And then I walked to the door of Carlton's Arms at 10 o'clock on the 17th of August 2015. That was the last day that I ever had a cigarette, a drug, a drink, you know. And I've been back every year since at 10 o'clock on the 17th. What's going on with me today? I've been back every single year since then. Not a minute before, not a minute after. I stood at the door one day, one year, I think I was 2 years, and a lad come up and he went, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm waiting for 10 o'clock. And he went, "What for?" I said, "Because I ain't allowed in till 10. And he went, "Well," I said, "Well, 10 o'clock, that's when my programme started." And he went, "I'm going now." So you do what you want. I said, "I've got another 2 minutes." And I stood there, 10 o'clock. And I walk in, I get a test. Them tests are all on my wall now with my chips and stuff. So, but yeah, so I went into rehab, you know. I went to AA about a year and a half before that. And I walked out of there saying that, you know, I'm nothing like them, they're nothing like me, you dirty bastards, you know what I mean? Looking for the differences, not the identification and all that. But a lot of them people were different to me in that sort of sense because, you know, they got it through the rooms. I needed to go to that rehab. I needed to.
So a very similar thing to me, you know, I say tried, that's not the right word. I'd gone to like some meetings, various flavours, but like just to please other people. Ended up just meeting people I could go out for a drink with, you know, afterwards, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, but yeah, rehab was definitely, yeah, I needed that cold, hard reality check, you know. So what about like the first couple of weeks going into rehab? Because you've been living this life of chaos, basically, like a lot of us done. And then, like, for me, the first thing I noticed about rehab was a lot of rules. And, you know, I was a grown man, you know, I'd had a good job and a nice car and all this. And, you know, who are these people to tell me about the rules? And also, who the fuck are these people I'm in with? You know, like, because I deliberately didn't research my rehab because I didn't want to know where it was, so I couldn't like make plans for escape. And I think also I was just dead scared of it, so I didn't want to. I remember I went in, realised there were a load of people that did heroin and crack and all these dirty, dirty drugs, in my opinion, at the time, and I had an iPhone 10. I sent it back with my dad and said, "Give me 20 quid so I can go and get a burner phone because someone will nick this." So that first impression of rehab, and how did that feel for you?
Pretty much the same in a sense. I mean, my idea of rehab before I went into the interview and that, when somebody mentioned rehab to me, automatically my head went to like white walls, beds, strapped down, people in coats. That was my, and I'm not joking there. That's what I thought I was going to. And when I walked in, I just seen it was all in order. But when I actually went in on the day, them first couple of weeks that you're asking about, first week, I was just, wow. See, there's a geezer that I set a writing group up with, and then he got a brilliant saying, and I can attach the first part of the saying, yeah, to the first couple of weeks. Rabbit in the headlights. Yeah? Rabbit in the headlights. End of. That, you know what I mean? I can remember sitting in a great big green leather chair, Librium, yeah, sitting there looking around, smackheads, crackheads, looking for all the differences. I'm not a smackhead. I'm not a crackhead. No, I never understood the difference between alcoholic and addict. You know, whereas like now, obviously I do AA, I do NA, and we're all inclusive in NA, and all this sort of stuff. But you know what? I never even attached my cocaine use and my pill use and all that to one of the reasons why we're in there.
No.
It was just drinking.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Snorting cocaine? Is that a problem, is it?
All the illegal stuff.
Yeah.
Fine.
There's that issue. I don't know what I mean. It's just something I've done. I'm here for drinking. All right, okay. And I can remember David Cross that used to work there. He started working there when I first went in because there were the two Davids, David Innes and David Cross. I don't know if I mentioned them before. I did, didn't I? Yeah, David Cross, and he told me something that was absolutely brilliant. He says there's nothing better than an alcoholic to look up at somebody from the gutter or look down on somebody from the gutter.
Yeah.
Looks down on somebody from the gutter, and I'm like, what do you mean? He says, we're alcoholics. He says, we're perfect for that. We can be lying in the gutter going, looking at a smackhead or a crackhead going, yeah, look at you. You know what I mean? We shit all up your back.
Yeah.
You know, classic. And I was like, wow, I've never really thought about it like that. He says, you know what I mean? He says, so you're no different to none of these in here, whether you're alcoholic, whether you think, you know what I mean? We're all in addiction, we're all addicts. And then I started like actually thinking, wow, yeah, I used to snort 120 quid worth of cocaine a day, smoke like 20 quid's worth of weed, and you know what I mean? And then I started lumping it all together, and instead of just being like a hardened alcoholic drinker and this stuff, you know what I mean? I lumped it all together, and I'm like, oh, I'm an addict.
Yeah.
You know? And I started getting identification with the other lads and stuff, and you know what I mean? And as for the rules and the boundaries, you know what I mean? It took a good few weeks for me to come back. You know what I mean? It took a good few weeks for me, a couple of weeks for me to come back. But you know what? After I'd done my detox and all the Librium and everything, and I started getting a bit more clarity in that, you know, and I was 100% exactly like what you've just said. You couldn't have hit that nail on the head any clearer. You know what I mean? Well, what? I used to drive a petrol tanker, mate, 100, like you know what I mean? Nearly 52 grand a year. You know what I mean? I've sat in meetings, you know what I mean? I've done this training, I've done that training. You can't tell, who are you to tell me? And then I don't know if I touched on this before, I think I did. And then when you've got somebody saying, you know what I mean, tail wagging the dog and all this lot and this and that, it just rips that ego and that pride out of you. And you say, 100, what was it, 52 grand a year? Yeah, 52 grand a petrol tanker you say you're driving and all this lot. Yeah, and all this, wow, and you sat in meetings and all, yeah, I've done all that. What, and you're in rehab? You know, bastard. You know what I mean? Means nothing.
No.
Like I said before, my best thinking, everything that I thought about myself got me into that rehab. and all the boundaries, and you know, there was a massive enlightenment for me after what 3 4 weeks, because I truly had an encounter with God, truly had an encounter with God, and you know, God had told me that, you know what, why was I there? Because I don't know if I touched on this before, but when God told me I was worth it, I think I did touch on it. Yeah, when God told me I was worth it, and I wanted to go out and I wanted to use cocaine, I wanted to use smack, I wanted to use crack because I've heard everyone going on, you know. But I had this massive encounter with God, but I also had some massive enlightenments for myself within like what were happening around me, in the sense that, you know what, I can remember distinctively sitting there and thinking, you know, I mean, this is all like hearing God speak to me, and my recovery speaking to me, because I will use any language that's going to like make people understand, you know, any language that's going to make people understand. What's up, Nige? Do you want to go on camera, mate? Yeah. So basically, I could, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, you know what? I've come into treatment, yeah, completely broken, and I'm looking at these people like you're a knob. But hold on, I'm the one in rehab. These people are trying to save my life, and yet I'm coming against it. Who's the knob? Wake up, kid. You know, because this stuff, and the biggest revelation for me, outside of meeting God and outside of understanding, the biggest revelation for me was I needed to do this stuff, and the one reason I needed to do it was because my life depended upon it. It weren't the fact that I just needed to stop drinking, or I needed to stop taking drugs, or I needed to stop. I needed to do it because I was going to die. I went in there a very ill man. My life depended on that rehab and what them people were telling me. And I had to come against my old self all the time that was telling me that these are idiots. They know nothing. No, lad, you know nothing.
Yeah.
So what is it? Take the cotton wool out of your mouth and stick it out your ears and stick it in your mouth?
Yeah, it's that level of humbling, isn't it? I mentioned it in another thing we did, and I think as a grown person, don't matter whether you're man or woman, but I think to be humbled to that level and to have to like self humble is really difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's why certainly in my case, you know, people would come into rehab and the dropout rate after like a couple of weeks was massive because they just couldn't hack it. But you know, I'd been acting like a child for 20 years, you know, and so I needed those kind of rules and that humbling. Because if you act like a child, why wouldn't people treat you like a child?
Definitely.
You know?
I mean, I always say to the lads, because obviously I work in the treatment centre now, I work in the carpentry, and you know, I mean, I used the term, and I like to try and like make things as simple as can be for people to understand. And when I hear people say I won't be dictated to by you or anyone, I'll say, okay, then we'll go and be dictated to you by your addict then.
Yeah.
That's it, because that's the truth of it. You're saying you won't be dictated to or told what to do. Every single day you picked up a drink and drug. Are you telling you was doing that purposely then? Because it was your illness, your addiction, your addict, your alcoholic was dictating the way what you were doing. You know, so it's up to you. If you don't want to listen to what we're trying to tell you, yeah, go. You know, I heard your man say this morning. You know what I mean? And I've been brought up the hard way within my recovery. You know, and sometimes, you know, I do wish that, you know, I can be very sort of hard-lined in the way I speak to people some ways, and it's only the way I got brought up, which is, you know, if you don't want it, do one.
Someone else thinks it.
Yeah, do one. I mean, I've told people, you know what I mean? I've said to people, go, leave. Don't you dare take a bed up that could save somebody's life if you don't want to save your own. That's the nooks and crannies of it. And I mean, I got into treatment and you know what I mean? After when I received the revelation that this is what I want to do, this is my calling. You know, this is not a job for me, and I heard your man say that this morning. I can be stood at the bus stop waiting to go back to that rehab to go to work. Yeah. and it's a job. Yeah, it's work.
Mm.
And I'm like any other person that has to go to work. Ugh, I can't be arsed. I don't want to. I'd much rather be at home doing this or doing nothing or doing that or doing, because I'm an inherent lazy bastard. Yeah, and I don't want to go to work. You know what? As soon as I walk through that door, that just gets lift straighted off me, and it's then a calling.
Mm.
I believe we, not just me, but we, yeah, when you're in recovery or whether you're walking with God, we get pulled out of that darkness, we get pulled out of that active addiction, yeah, to into a calling to then go and tell each other people that are suffering on how to get free of it. Yeah. So within that, I can walk in there and I can be in that calling, and I can, if you don't want to walk this way, and if I can go a bit biblical on it, everybody looks at Jesus as this loving and this all thing, but he was hard lined, very hard lined, because he categorically said, if the village don't want to listen, shake the dust from off your feet and leave the village. Do not throw your pearls to pigs, for they shall be trampled underfoot. And that basically means, you know what I mean? I carry a message. I'm not carrying you if you don't want to stop drinking or taking drugs. End of. But you know what? I will keep working on my program, keep doing my recovery for if you come back and you want to. And that's how it was in treatment. And you know what? I'm still here. I'm still there. I'm still walking. I've done that program. Yeah. I've seen people come back that I was on the program with. I've seen people come back that nearly cost me my program that I looked up to. Because this is the thing about rehab life, right? You're walking, I don't know if you experienced it, but my experience is, like, I always say to the lads, I've got a few sayings. You'll hear me say this all the time. I've got loads of sayings. Yeah, I've got this saying, make friends but don't fall in love.
Mm.
Yeah? Because they'll be here today and gone tomorrow. You can go to bed at night and you could say night to your best buddy who you think that, that's it, your partner's for life now. Because you've got this sort of like false camaraderie because you've just told him that, you got abused as a child and you got this and you got that, and all your secrets have been piled out to him, and that's it. With blood brothers, cut that. There you go, blood brothers. Rehab blood brothers. Rah, rah, rah. And you think that's it. You go to bed that night and then you wake up the next morning and you find out he's stuck 2 fingers up to the whole lot and he's gone.
I mean, that was something I was going to ask you about, like those relationships you build in rehab. Like, for me, I was in with, I probably met, I'd say conservatively, 80 people through my 3 months, because people coming, going, quitting, leaving, graduating. Like I said, I had 7 roommates or something. It was crazy. But at the time, a lot of those relationships feel incredibly important, and I believe they are, because you're in this bubble where everything's so intense. You're telling people who you've never met before, like, your deepest, darkest secrets, and you're sharing all this stuff. But out of those 70 people, there's probably 3 or 4 I'm still in contact with. And what about you? Like, the relationships you made, were they important to you, or could you see them for what some of them were?
I've got relationships with people that I was on the program with, people that still work at the Carpenter's Arms. I've got people that have come through the program since I've been a staff member that are now, and we have brilliant relationships outside of work, outside of the rehab. I shudder to think how many people I've seen go through there. And as a staff member, I have to watch what I do in boundaries, because we have a phase 3 program where lads come out, and and we can't necessarily get too heavily involved, which can cause complications, being the fact that I'm a 12-stepper. And I like to get people into meetings. I like to get people, but I also, come to the soup kitchen where it all started for me. Come to this, come to that, and like I said before in the last part, I'm just a signpost. Walk this way, God, recovery, whichever way it looks for you. But this is the way I do it. Come this way. If 4 and a bit years clean. That's not a boast in me, it's a boast in God and a boast in recovery, because without either of that, I'm an addict, and I'm an addict using. That's my level of honesty. Without God, without recovery, I'm in the shit. Yeah. So it can complicate things. But what I'm saying is about this. See, when I first got in there was a lad in there, yeah, right, and basically, I poured my heart out to him. You know, we were quite I like to say we're a posh rehab. We've got a hot tub in our rehab. Yeah. So you know what I mean, and it's great when you see the lads in there, and I walk out and I go, rubbish life this rehab, and they're all like that. I've sat in it while it's been snowing in a hot tub and that. You know what I mean? It's amazing. But anyway, I poured my heart out to this geezer for about 3 weeks. And he told me all this stuff. He'd done rehabs everywhere and this, this that. And I was like, wow. I built him the pedestal myself, and you know what I mean, I put him up on it, and then all of a sudden, when he got caught smoking, we're in no smoking rehab, and he got offered a lifeline, and he didn't take it. He decided to walk. Now, that nearly cost me my program, because I'd put so much into this lad. I'm like, I can't do this without it. I can't believe he's gone. Oh man, all this lot, this false camaraderie stuff. And then it took somebody very wise in the fellowship of AA to tell me something. Stuart, you've got to learn to step over the dead bodies. If you want to get to where you've got to get to, you've got to learn to step over the dead bodies, because thinking about him out there, he's not thinking about you. No. Yeah, but you thinking about him in here is going to get you out there with him. Step over. Yeah. And so I carried on with my program, and as I've carried on, I've started attaching all this stuff and learning all this stuff, and I became teachable in there and things. And I've seen this lad come back. A couple of times, and the first time he come back, he said to me, he says, I'm so glad to see that you're working here and that. He says, I'm really chuffed the fact that I had a hand in that. In getting there, I'm like, what? So I just left it at that. You know what I mean? I thought, right, I'll just leave it. And then he ended up going and coming back again. And he said the same thing. He says, oh, you're still here? Yeah. He says, okay. He says, yeah. And it's good the fact that you're here. And, you know what I mean? At the beginning, I had a massive hand in getting to where you were and all this lot. And I heard your man say again this morning that, we need to challenge people's behaviours and thinking. And I refuse to leave people in their warped up sense of mind anymore, because if there's something that needs pointing out, it needs pointing out. And God's been telling me very clearly, it's only the truth that will set you free. And if we're going to keep patting these people on the back and saying there, that's not the truth, and they're never going to be free. So he's saying, I'm glad that, this and that, and I got you to where you were. And I just went, okay. I said, can I just ask you a question? I said, what have you ever shown me apart from how to come in and out of rehab? I said, you can talk recovery, but I said, but you don't never ever walked it. I said, why don't you start walking it instead of just talking it? Yeah? Because all you've ever done is show me how to go and come back, yet I'm still here.
Yeah, well, that's like one of the things that I learned pretty quickly. I don't know if it was the same for you, but when I arrived, I got budded up with someone. Someone showed me a ropes. This guy, bless him, Mikey, and he was the worst buddy in the world. Like, he couldn't work the washing machines, but he said, "Oh, this is how you get one of the girls to do it for you." And all this. And my rehab, I didn't do steps. I was on like the strength side of things, but he was a steps guy, and I honestly believed he had it done. And like in that sort of 2 months I was in there with him, like the first time I laughed properly without any chemical affecting my brain, that was with him, like to the point of like basically pissing myself. Like it was ridiculous. And him, and others that I thought, they've got it, they're going to be perfect. He took his own life 2 weeks after leaving rehab, and at that point, I was thinking, God, I've got it so wrong, and I was kind of ready to quit then. I was like, well, if he can't do it, what hope do I have? And someone told me that thing about, stepping over what is on the way to recovery, and it sounds so brutal.
No, it does.
But it's the truth, man. And so often for me, it was the guys that I thought had a perfect program, a perfect recovery. And, thanks to social media and having your phone for an hour in the evening in my rehab, you soon found out that these guys are not so much in Mikey's case. I think he just had too much to deal with. But in other cases, the ones that were talking the perfect program, only with hindsight, you kind of look back and realise actually, they were going through the motions. And that's a difficult pill to swallow because you've invested a bit of yourself into these people, fellow inmates, if you like. But ultimately, you feel a bit let down by them.
Definitely. I mean, your man, what's his name, Matt.
Matt.
He spoke so much wisdom this morning in a lot of that stuff that he said, and I try not to sort of like categorize or judge or thingy, because I've got proper judged, and one of the managers of the rehab, he done his testimony once. No, I'd done my testimony, and then he shared back on it, and he basically said, you know what, he says, I don't preempt or judge anybody on this program no more. He says, because you know what, Stuart Hardy Taylor, he says, when he first come in, he says, and within a few weeks, I was saying, he got no chance, he ain't gonna make it. He says, and look at him now, that don't sound boastful. He's like, look at him now and look what he does, and so we can't think, and I've heard so many people come into that treatment centre and like you say, they know everything that they need to know, but they just don't know how to apply it. I know people that have come in and they just come in, as Matt said, coming for an holiday. It's heartbreaking, you always have to. I mean, we've had people come through our doors 5, 6, 7 times. And when's the time to say, take working, mate, try somewhere else? I mean, I look at some of the people that have been round and that have been round the mountain a few times, but they've now got it.
And it's something I talk about in recovery, and maybe we go to some of the same meetings and things. And I've mentioned like boundaries of who I count as people I can really trust in recovery, and certainly in our circles. But it's quite a small amount of people, for me. And I think that's partly because of some of the experiences I had in rehab. And so I think for anyone, thinking of going into rehab, you have to be careful.
Oh, well, Shava. I mean, rehab, I don't know if I mentioned this before. Rehab for me, I mean, my boss, she wrote a book called Life in a Goldfish Bowl.
Yeah.
And it's about rehab. And it does become your world. It becomes everything, And I would say anybody going into rehab, you know what I mean? Just you're there for you. You're there for you.
Yeah.
Remember that first and foremost. I mean, I say to the lads in the carpenters, and this might sound a bit strange, but I have to say it, which is what's ever going on outside of them 4 walls is none of your business, none of your concern. I mean, we all hear like the trials and tribulations, and my missus is saying she's struggling. She says, so fucking what? So are you? Yeah, well, she can't cope. We'll go back to her then. So go back. If she's struggling now, she'll be twice as struggling when she gets you back, won't she? This is your job. This is what you've come here to do, to change so you can go back and now be a help in that struggle.
Mm.
You know, it's a short period, it's a season in your life to have a rest of a life. And if we look at it, like, I wrote a poem called a year can equal a lifetime. That is the title of it. And I don't think, in the sense of a rehab, in the sense of treatment, you don't need to go any further than that.
Mm.
Whether it's a 3-month program, I mean, I heard you talking this morning, 3 months, 6 months to 12 months. I mean, our program can be 18 months if you want it to, but that's with a phase 3 move on.
Yeah.
So you can be spending time in the community. You're not actually fully in the rehab. You know what I mean? So it's an 18 month, and that's totally up to you. You can leave after the 6 to 9 months. You know, it's like detox, and then you've got your 6 months to 9 months program.
Yeah.
You know, after 6 months, if you think, or we think, you know, you might need another 3 months or another thing, because you've not showed that level, that all gets discussed and blah blah blah. But just within that, a year can equal a lifetime. And I think if you're going to be going into treatment, people, if you're going to go into treatment, just realise, will you, this is a season. This is a season to get a lifetime.
Mm.
You know, and it might sound daunting, but you know, 6 to 12 months in a rehab might sound daunting. But you know what? Try thinking about the rest of your life drinking and taking drugs.
Yeah.
And if you're happy with that, well, fucking stay where you are then.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I don't think you'd have lasted another 12 months.
No way, no way. You know, I mean, I'm so grateful for everything that the Carpenter's Arms done for me. You know, I was walking home today. Funny enough, I'm walking home from town today, and I'm not feeling the greatest. You know, I've got stuff going on with me, sort of like medically. I'm not dying. You know, I'm not just being a typical alcoholic addict. You know what I mean? Blowing stuff out of proportion. But you know, I'm walking home. I've just had a blood test cancelled. I didn't need to go. Yeah, gets down there, sits there for 10 minutes, only to be told that he's cancelled. Right? And I'm stood at the thing, and I'm like, literally, what? It's cancelled. She went, yeah. So all the system was down yesterday, and blah blah blah. And I went, well, yeah. The doctor said that you were going to notify me if there was a problem. I said, no one's called me. And she went, oh, I'm sorry. Straight away, I'm feeling the old self come up. And as I'm looking around, I just look around like that, and I sees all the people looking at me. And the old me was rising up, because now I want to make you look stupid. Yeah. Because you didn't ring me. And you got me out of bed when I didn't want to get up and get out of bed. Yeah. So I want to now make you look stupid, and I want everybody to hear this and make you look stupid. It's not your fault, Mrs. Reception Lady, but I'm going to blame you, because I'm angry that I've had to get out of bed when I didn't want to and come down here because I'm not feeling too well. And then as I'm looking round, and I just feel myself going, I just hear God, I just hear my recoveries go, lie down, die to self. And I find myself just going, okay, yeah, no worries. So, well, I said, okay, no worries. I said, when they're sure, well, we can do an appointment Friday. I'm sorry, I work Fridays, I can't do it. Thursday, she went, well, we can do our fate Thursday. I said, she went, 9:05. 9:05's great. 9:05's great. And she went, okay. You know, so instead of me shouting like I would have normally done 4.5 years ago, I'd have been yelping and that. Yeah. Kids, mums had been pulling the kids in, going, why is that man shouting, mummy? And I'm like, why are you going out? Get out of bed for this. And all that. I end up walking out the doctor's surgery with people looking at me like, is he human? Why did he not kick off? How come he's just been sat here for 10 minutes to be told his appointment's cancelled? And he said to the woman, have a nice day.
That's one of the amazing things, isn't it? Like if you're relying on someone to help you to do something, it's a lot easier if you're not a massive dick. You know, like, but I remember realising that at some point in the last couple of years. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, just be nice.
But that's the thing. I entered treatment. So this is the thing. I entered rehab. Yeah. That shouty man at the reception.
Yeah.
I've come out of rehab. with a level of understanding of God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change if I can, and the wisdom to not shout at the woman behind reception because it's not her fault. That's what treatment taught me. It taught me to lie down and have a look at myself. It taught me to understand that, what the whole world don't revolve around me,
Mm.
and I'm not really that important anyway in the old grand scheme of things.
Mm.
But you know what? It taught me to give back, and it taught me, rehab taught me so much stuff. So you know what? If you're thinking of going into treatment, just understand, you're there to get rid of them old behaviours. Because I always say to the lads, because I work in the detox bit of the treatment centre, and some of the lads will say, you know what? Oh man, I've been in here 3-4 weeks now. You know what I mean? I've not been on anything for like 3 or 4 weeks now. I think I should be moving up and I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you're not just here to detox off drink and drugs, are you? Well, what do you mean? That's what you did. You're here to detox off your behaviours.
Yeah. And I think, like, to me, getting off booze was my thing. The actual physical coming off that, like I said, I went in sober, which Matt was telling me, like, no one ever does that. I blew a 0 when I went in because I had the court thing. I'd done a bit of a detox at home and I had a couple of like shaky bits. And, I think they were seizures probably now looking back. Well, I got through it, and I don't suggest doing that probably. But the actual getting alcohol out of my system and the physical side of that was, looking back, easy. At the time it was horrible, but it's changing everything else about you that has brought you to that place. And having all the trappings of a normal person, and to a certain level of successful person, having all of that, but realizing all that meant nothing because I was deeply unhappy and deeply selfish, and the behaviours I was doing were reflecting that, and to work on myself then and changing all that. That was the hard bit.
Oh, well, shadow of that. I mean, there's a geezer in the fellowship in Leicester of AA, and he's a wealth of knowledge within the fellowship. And he said something a few months ago, and I'm not breaking any confidentiality here. In the fact, I won't mention no names never or that, but if there's something that needs to be heard, it needs to be the fact that, and I sat with this when I heard him say it, that if we separate alcoholism, you'll understand perfectly clear. Take the alcohol away, you're left with a problem. There isn't I, self, and me. The alcohol's not the problem. It's the I, the self, and the me is the problem. So when I start working, on myself, when I start doing some work on myself, and I can see where I've got a problem within my life and identify all my defects and identify all this stuff, and I can start working on them and looking into them and my resentments and my fears and all this. When I start doing all that stuff that's within a step 4, and I realise that it's me that's got the problem, and I can't put alcohol inside of me because then it becomes attached again and it all just stays alcoholism. When I just pull it apart and I realised that it's just me that's got the problem. I don't know if I touched on the bit when I went to Ireland. No? Massive revelation. So, right, so rehab, rehab, I've come out of rehab, right? I want to touch on one thing. In rehab, cocodamol gate.
Okay.
Right, cocodamol gate. Right, and so I come to a point in rehab when I realised that I need to start listening, I need to start doing stuff, and I knew that this was then going to be a calling on my life. And I started reading the Bible, I started listening in the teaching, started doing a load of stuff. David Cross, he used to repeat himself quite a bit, in what he used to say to us, and I always used to say, why is he repeating himself? And he said something once, he said the reason he repeats himself is because basically we're all picked ignorant and we don't listen. Yeah.
Fair.
And the fact that I'm sort of like saying to him, why'd you keep all everyone's taking the piss out of you because you keep repeating yourself? Well, something must have gone in if you're talking about it.
Mm.
I'm like, what a brilliant teaching, you know. So this is why I say to the lads in the corps, if you hear me repeat myself, it's for a reason. Because I know you're not listening the first, second, third time, but fourth, fifth time, you're sick and tired of me saying this, but it's going in, isn't it? It's going in, yeah. So I started listening and started becoming teachable, blah 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 blah. But was I a good boy? No, I was still kicking off. Stuart was still there, and then just before Christmas 2016, I'd gone home on a weekend visit, and I always used to chase pills because of this knee, because I've got a dodgy knee.
Mm.
And a football were part of the programme then. You ain't got to play no more if you don't want. But they used to like say, no, you go in goal. You know what I mean? Everybody's got to join in. And I always used to like kick off immensely because, they won't give me no pain relief for my knee, and my knee used to swell. Well, I played football on the Friday, and then I went home on the Saturday for my weekend visit with my boy. And this is a massive, massive teaching. Massive. Huge. And this is the way it works for me. Yeah? So I'm gonna hope I'm gonna get this out properly, and let's see if anybody gets identification from it. So I goes home, yeah, puts up the Christmas tree. My knee's already hurting from the football. Gets the Christmas tree down and puts Christmas tree up. The next day we've got the Loughborough Santa fun run, yeah. My knee's banging, and I open up the cupboard doors, and I'm thinking I want some ibuprofen and paracetamol or something. I couldn't see none in the cupboard, but you know what? I can look through these eyes of mine at things normal. Right, let's just say, right, that cup there, that says daddy. Right, I can read that as daddy. Now, if that said cocodamol, to a normal person, it'd just be cocodamol, that big. But when I look at it and my addict looks at it through his eyes, that cocodamol becomes that big. Yeah. So I'm opening the cupboard and I've gone, no, I don't see it, my addict sees it, cocodamol. And I'm like, oh, I can't. Not allowed to take that on the programme, I can't. All of a sudden, that self-will that I was talking about earlier on kicks in.
Mm.
I deserve to be pain-free. They can't dictate to me how I feel. They can't think, I'm rah. So I text the cocodamol. Now, I don't take it to get a buzz. I take it because I want to sort my knee out, and I take it because I think I can, even though I know it's a banned substance on the programme.
Mm.
Yeah? So this is the way it works for me. I take the cocodamol with my chest puffed out, bravado. I'm doing what I want. I don't care. Rah, rah, wah. Yeah? Take it, bang, bang, bang. 5 minutes later. Oh, what have I done that for? Oh, no. And I just feel myself entering back into that prison. Yeah, and the way I explain it, it's one of them thingy prison cells, like Hannibal Lecter prison, with the bars you can see all the way round. Yeah, just a little chair in the middle, and you sat there, and all I hear is a door slam, and I see a geezer walking away in a prison in a guard suit, swinging keys, laughing, going, and on the back he's got his name and it's Fear. And I'm like, oh, what have I done that for? Then fear starts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh man, what's going to happen tomorrow? Fear, pain, because I'm feeling pain now. I've put myself in a place of pain. Yeah? I get up the next morning. I go back to the rehab. He says, right, we're going to test you. Yeah, because there's the dude. Yeah, no problem. So, blow into the thing. No worries. All right, yeah, good, that's good. No problem. I'm like, is that it? He's like, yeah. I says, you're not going to drug test me? And he went, well, you're just in for alcohol, ain't you? You're not a drug addict, are you? He says, you're only in for alcohol. You ain't never done heroin, all right? You know what I mean? And this is how mad we are. This is how mad we are. I turned around and said, that little bit of pride and ego comes up.
Yeah.
As an addict, and I'm like, what? How dare you just call me an alcoholic? How dare you just call me an alcoholic? I used to snort £120 worth of cocaine a day. I've took pills, I've done weed, you know what I mean? Plant food, mushrooms. Don't you dare just call me an alcoholic. No, I'm an addict. Oh yeah? Yeah, I used to snort cocaine and that. Oh, we'll test you. Okay, failed. Grass myself up. So then the next part of the addict stuff comes in, doesn't it? It's positive. No, it can't be. Denial. Can't be. Network's telling you, I'm going to have to you do what you want. Next part comes in. Anger. What? You're wrong. Them tests are wrong. You know what I mean? Blame. Da, 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 da. And I end up walking out of the office, up to my room. So I've got anger, I've got blame, deceit, I've got all of it. Fear. And I put myself all in this. I walked up into my room and I'm like, alright, so I've got to ring it through to on course. I ain't bothered, do what you want. And this is where the not bothered bit comes in. Do what you want, I ain't bothered. I walks up to my room, opens my room, and I feel the Spirit of the Lord Jesus Christ in there. What are you doing? You made a promise that we weren't going to do it your way no more. You're going to do it my way. You're going to bring everything into the light and you're going to be truthful and honest. What was that? We don't do it like that today, Stuart. Sat on my bed, I cried. I went downstairs, knocked on the door, and this is rehab, yeah? You know when you open the door and they've heard a bit of shouting, and that goldfish in the goldfish bowl, yeah? I put this in a book, and as you walk through the door, all the other little goldfishes in the goldfish bowl all go, silence, yeah? Complete silence, but in your head you can hear, ooh. Everybody knows you're going back to the other, ooh, as you walk into the office. And I knocked on the office door and I say, look, I'm sorry I lied. And he went, what'd you lie for? And this is honesty. I said, because I'm an addict. I said, and that's what I do. I said, but that's what I'm here to get away from. I'm here to try and sort out. I'm sorry. You know? And then he said, right, well, I've rang it through. He said, they're going to deal with it in the morning. All day, I'm in pain. Yeah? All day, I've got fear. Yeah? And it comes in waves. I don't know if anyone's getting identification with this. I got stopped for drink driving. I got done for drink driving when I was 19 years of age. Yeah? And it was on the day, on an early Sunday morning. And this is how I explain it now. Yeah? The identification between the two. So I got stopped about 4 in the morning, right, for drink driving. Got breathalyzed, I got released about, I don't know, 7:30, 8. And that day we was going over to Leicester, yeah, to get the tickets for the Tranmere Leicester playoff finals. Yeah. Now, this wave, this bravado that we have, I'm like literally going, I ain't bothered. We're going Wembley! Yeah, we're going Wembley! I've lost my licence. Oh man, I can't believe I've been stopped for drinking. I lost my licence. So, well, I'm going Wembley! Do it now, right? And this is how it was. I ain't bothered if I get kicked out. Yeah, I ain't bothered. Oh no, I don't want to leave. You know, that bravado of up and down. Yeah. Next morning, one of the staff members comes in, that gets on really well. The other part of my addict behaviour comes in. He says, what have you done? And I just look, oh man. I said, I ain't bothered what you do to me. I said, but I tell you what, you're not taking my visits off me. Yeah? You do anything, but you're not taking... I've done wrong and I'm telling them what punishment they're going to give me. Yeah? And then he proceeds to come out and tell me after 10 minutes, oh, we've had a conversation, the managers will come down and they're going to have a meeting with you tomorrow morning. I've got another day and another whole night, and you've been in rehab, mate. I don't know if you've done it where you've done something wrong and you don't know what your punishment's going to be. So anybody that's been in rehab, you'll understand that pain of not knowing, that fear, you know, of that prison guard walking around that cell just doing that around the bars on the finger with his keys going, yeah, all that, and I had to go through that. So from Saturday through to Tuesday morning, I've got nothing but pain and fear, yeah. And then I go in to this meeting and I sit down with the two Richards, yeah, and he basically straight away the first thing he says to me, he says, right, he says, we're in a tricky situation here because we don't know whether you took heroin or not. I know, and you know I'm not an heroin addict. You know that. He says, well, you know, the severity of this is, you know, I mean, we're going to have to really come down on you and that. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm kicked out. And he says, you know, and he just turned around and he says, so what we're going to do, we're going to give you an extra 4 weeks on the programme. And I went, well, I'm doing an extra few anyway. I says, because I'm staying over Christmas. I says, yeah, that's all right. And he went, no. 4 weeks on top of that. I went, what? I felt myself come up. As I felt myself come up, I just felt the hand of God say, sit down, boy. consequences for your actions.
Mm.
Sit down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he says, right, he says, and also he says, because of the severity and it was done outside of the thing, he says, what we're going to do, we're going to take the visits off you. You're not allowed out for them 4 weeks either. What? Boom, God, sit down, boy. Actions for your consequences.
Mm.
Yeah. And this is where the lesson is. Yeah. This is where the lesson is. I walked out of there. Yeah. All that stuff paled into insignificance when I realised I'd then got to ring my ex-wife and tell her that I'm not coming home for another 4 weeks. And she's like, what? So I've got to put my life on hold. Why you think that? Because I took some coke. Oh, you've changed, ain't you? Yeah, look at you, all that lot. Yeah.
Mm.
And then next minute, I says, oh yeah, and by the way, I'm not allowed out to see Mackenzie. She went, what? I said, well, I'll tell you something. You can speak to your son and tell him because I'm not. Wow, man. I had to sit and listen to my boy cry again, because of me. Taught me the biggest lesson that I've ever been learned, that my actions cause consequences, not just for me, but for my son.
Mm.
Yeah. Since that day, my son's never cried because of any of my actions. Never cried because of any of my actions. It taught me a massive lesson. That my selfishness causes my boy to cry.
Mm.
And he's never cried because of any of my actions since. Massive lesson. Massive. And I come out of treatment and armed with all this new stuff, this new Stuart.
Mm.
I was walking with God. I had a massive, massive faith in God. I became a new creation, I believe. I do believe I became a new creation, but you know what? I also believe that I needed some practical stuff feeding into me, which I got from David Cross, and I carried on feeding into that. I got suggested, in treatment, get yourself buried into a church, get yourself buried into church life, get yourself buried into all that beautiful stuff, right? I done it. I also got suggested, go to meetings, get a sponsor, start doing the steps, start doing service, start sharing honestly. I done it, because when I was in treatment, I seen the good book, the big book, joined together. And that's the way I do my recovery. Everybody's got their own way of doing recovery. Recovery is recovery. I've said this to you earlier. I class working for recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is why I put it to the lads in the thing. I work for recovery today. You work for recovery. Recovery is your boss.
Yeah.
End of. David Cross used to say you got to work for your recovery every day, and I never really used to understand what he meant by that. And that means you've got to get up, you've got to put action in, and you've got to go and earn your crust.
Yeah.
So I work for recovery. And I don't just work for AA, NA, Smart, ACT, or whoever, or the church or anything. I work for recovery. And the thing is, if I don't get up and I don't go to work and I don't go to my meetings and I don't do this and I don't do that, then just like any other job, I'm not going to get paid. How do I get paid today? By being able to sit here talking to you. This is my payment. I get paid days clean and sober. That's how recovery pays me. But if I don't turn up, I'm not getting paid. End of. And that's what treatment taught me, That was my training.
Yeah.
That was my platform to come out and start living life on life's terms and doing it without the use of drink and drugs.
Coming out of treatment, I don't want to upset you, but your dad was still around then, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So, like, and how was that going home? Like, you're a different person,
Mm-hmm.
but I bet, and I know how important your dad was to you, so I guess he was super pleased, proud,
Well, you know what?
but maybe a bit scared as well, like, it's a different guy kind of thing.
I would have thought so, but I mean, because some of the altercations we had towards them end days of my using was horrendous. This bloke was 80 years old, and I lost my rag with him a few times. And I can remember my mum coming in and saying, "You've just scared your dad. You've just scared him," And that's stuff that I've had to look at within my step four, and stuff that I've had to take ownership for, and that, you know. Um, but we'll come out. I mean, because he came to see me in treatment a few times, and you know, come out. And me and my dad, we've always had it, you know. Like I think I said before, I'm young Stuart, he's big Stuart, and we just started having a laugh, man. I never lost my rag with him. I did lose my rag with him. That's a lie. I did lose my rag with him. But why did I lose my rag with him? It weren't because I was drunk or the thing. It's because he's a stubborn old goat, and he was ill, man, and he won't listen. When you've just come out of hospital because you've got an hernia the size of a like cricket ball, and you try and lift up an armchair, you know what I mean? And you just have visions of your dad killing ever and that, and it's like, you know what I mean? And my pastor always calls it, he says, we don't get angry, we have an allergic reaction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had an allergic reaction. You know what I mean? I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? Trying to lift this? He says, I'm just blessed. You're not doing that. So yeah, but you know what? We had a laugh. We had a laugh. And I can remember when he had his heart attack and he first come out of hospital, and you know, when he were in there and he said that they said your dad's dying. You know, your dad's dying, and they put a palliative care team, and that was 3 months after I'd just come out of treatment. And I mean, I firmly believe that it was prayer that kept him alive, and I believe it was prayer that took him. Because you had a lot of people praying for him for them 2 years. He was in and out of hospital constantly, you know. But no matter what when he were going in or what we were going through as a family and stuff, you know what? I still knew that I needed to stay close to the fellowships. I still knew I needed to carry on praying. I kept reading my word. I kept doing my step work. You know, I was doing all my steps through all this time. You know, while my dad, you know, my dad was in hospital. I was doing step work.
Mm.
You know, I was at meetings sharing about it. You know, sharing about honestly about, you know, how things were at home. You know, and all this lot, and you know, I ain't gonna say it was easy because it weren't. It was very tough, you know, at times. And I mean, when they said he were dying, see, this is the thing, you know. I mean, a lot of people, if I can just, you know, because this is massive for me. This is massive for me. That time when he got took in, and they said that your dad's dying, and they was going to put a palliative care team in. I went into the chapel and I prayed, and I picked up some stuff, and I went and I gave it him, just like a little New Testament thing and a few like laminated things and this and that. And I just went, here, Dad, read these. And he basically just said, right, just put them on there, son, just put them on there. And I went, you want to read it? He said, yeah, just put them down there. So I just left them, and that was that. So then fast forward a year or so, and I come back from the soup kitchen one night, and I can remember saying to him, right, I'm going upstairs to read my Bible, Dad. And he went, do you good, son, now, do you good. And I went, like you've ever read the Bible? And he went, of course I've read the Bible, I'm 82-year-old, of course I've read the Bible. And I went, well, you go to church? You know, I used to go to church every week, son. Such and such Methodist church. And I went, wow, I didn't know you knew God. And he went, yeah. You know, mad. Well, fast forward to him in passing. He come out of hospital on Sunday, no, on the Monday, and on the Tuesday morning I said to him, look, Dad, we've got to go down to the bank, we've got to go and sort your bank details out, and what have you. He says, because, you know, you've got to get them into joint names with my mum's, because get it all sorted. And he just started crying. And he was like, don't make me go out, son, don't make me go out. Oh, he said, I don't want to go out. He said, don't make me go out. And I just looked at him and I was like, wow, that ain't my dad. That ain't my dad, you know. Yorkshire grit. That was my dad. Bit of staunch Yorkshire grit. Come on, son. And I just looked at him and I just thought, wow, that ain't my dad. And I just prayed to God. I just said to God, look, if you're not going to give him a hand of protection, give him a hand of peace. And he got took back in a hospital that day, and then he died the next day. And I were at work. Now, I come on the Thursday, I was sat in his armchair, and down the side of my dad's armchair, he's got all his private stuff. Now, my old man, he was very meticulous. He used to open his letters, and he'd just do that, and he'd have a look, and there'd be a bill, and he'd write on the front of it when it needed to be paid. It won't be a day after, it won't be a day before, it'll be on the day. And he used to have a thing that he always used to say, make sure your cupboards are full, you'll never go hungry. Electric paid, you'll never have to sit in the dark. Gas paid, you'll never have to be cold. And also make sure your rent's paid, because then everything else is sorted and you'll never be on the streets. So I'm sat there and I just said to my mum, oh sorry, I'm just looking. My mum went, oh, there's some bills to be paid. And you'd think that's a bit funny after, you know, his dad's just died the day before. You should be worried about bills. But that was my dad. And I just started looking for all these bills. And the next minute, oh, what's that? And I pulled out a laminated card with Psalm 91 on it. And it was the card that I gave my dad in the hospital 2 years before. And I just thought, wow, he kept it. And he's put it in his private stuff. Wow. And I just put it down and I didn't really think nothing about it. And this is God for me. This is God for me. And he just put it down. And then the next night, I was in my bedroom and one of my friends from my church sent me a text saying, sorry to hear about your dad. And I just texted back and said, oh yeah, thank you. And she says, you alright, you're being kind to yourself? And I put, yeah, I'm drinking coffee and having some cake. And she just went, oh, right, okay. And then she texted back about 2 or 3 minutes later. She says, I've just prayed for you. She says, and God just told me to give you Psalm 91. I was like, wow. Oh, why Psalm 91? Out of everything, out of the Bible, out of everything in the world, everything, God just said, give you Psalm 91. So I rings her up. And I'm like, why Psalm 91? You've been spitting, and I realised, I was saying, I've not told anybody about Psalm 91. And she said, I've told you, I just prayed and I just felt God say to me, give him Psalm 91. So I took that validation as, you know, that my dad, you know, is up there with God. That's my faith, you know. So yeah, you know, my old man, we had our ups and downs, but we all do, don't we? You know? We all do, but he was a good man. Good man. Liked his drink. He liked his drink. Always used to lie about it, typical. I mean, I could never ever say whether he was an alcoholic now, but you know what? When I was in coming them 2 years, yeah, them 2 years that because I still live with him when I come out of the thing. And I used to notice some of the behaviours, and if he'd do something, I just used to under my breath go, untreated. What was that? I've got nothing done. Untreated.
I remember when I got home, some of the things I ended up with my parents for, and I once caught my mum having a glass of wine in the garage. And I was like, what are you doing? That's what I'm going to do. That's my drinking spot. That was one glass of wine a year, probably.
Yeah.
But, it's funny.
But that's the thing, you see, because I mean, this thing about alcohol and that, you know, I mean, well, you know, I always see. The thing is, yeah, I heard somebody say in a meeting once, you know, don't ever, because we always hear this sort of saying, don't we? We can come in and we can dump a shit there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like what this bloke said once. He said, don't ever dare just come in here and dump your shit without giving a solution.
Yeah.
You know? So I went into treatment with loads of shit. I got given a solution, and a solution in God. You know? And I also got given a solution within the fellowship. And I had 10 meetings and that all the time and stuff now. And you know, you can hear. I can go into a meeting and I can hear stuff that I need to hear today. You know, and we spoke about not being present in that. You know, and there's all this stuff that I've you know. I mean, this is the second part of this thing. You know. Well, I hope it don't sound boastful. You know, I could sit here. I could sit here for a whole month solid talking about this stuff and the complexities that we have to do in this and that and all the stuff that I've learned. You know, I mean, not being present. I mean, I can still sit in meetings and I can still have an head that, you know, if I'm not fully concentrating, I can hear something that needs to go in to help me in my life today. You know, and that's the beauty of the fellowships for me. And this is what I've learned, that when I come out of treatment and I started attending them and I started getting identification with other alcoholics and other addicts and stuff, you know, I just totally embraced it. You know, I totally embraced it. I'd been going to church for 6 months anyway with the cops, and when I come out and I started going up to the Beacon Church, so I'd got my connection with God anyway. But then I started like looking at all these sort of steps in the program and stuff, and so steps 1, 2, 3, I'd already done basically. I'd already done it in treatment, you know, because I was a born again Christian. You know what I mean? I accepted that with powerless when I went into treatment.
Yeah.
You know, there's my acceptance. I accepted that I couldn't put a drink and drug inside me. You know, that first one. You know, I know if I listen and I take just one drink, it's going to lead to two, and if I have that second drink, then two becomes a few. And so now I've had a few beers, I'll push it just one more, and what started out as one drink has fastly turned to four. And so now I've had the fourth drink, the addict comes alive, and you see now he's taking over and he wants to go for five. And he convinces me really easy, as they're down the fifth. He says, some are on a roll now, we might as well have a sixth. You see, now the addict's happy because now we're up to seven, and it's now he starts to mock me as seven becomes 11. But it's at this stage I'm starting to really hate myself. For here now comes that self-pity as I'm going past the 12. And this is now the danger zone, and I'm tearing at the seams. And this is now the no man's land because I'm drinking at the teens. But the addict starts to laugh because he's proud of what he's done. And you see, now we start to argue because once again he's won. And now I'm at the anger point, and who cares about the amount? Because now I've really lost it, and I'm too pissed to keep account. But it's at this point we're both drunk, and we both lay down in a heap. But it's always on my own. I wake up in a car park where I sleep. And so once again I've woke up guilt-ridden with what I've done. So why did I let him tempt me? Because I know it starts with one. You know?
You should write that down.
Oh, should I?
Links available.
You know? Step one, I grasped it.
Yeah.
I cannot put a drink inside me because I know I'm having another. That stuff that David Cross said to me, the first drink that gets you drunk, I understand that now. Yeah, I understand. We've already spoke about this stuff. I understand the first of anything's going to lead to a second for me. You know, came to believe a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. You know, I started, you know, that happened in rehab. My thinking started to be renewed by the word of God. I started to think differently, I started to act differently. That all started to come out in my behaviours. I started being giving and kind and not being so selfish. You know, I mean, I always say to the lads in rehab, you know, this is where you need to be selfish, but more selfish than you ever were in your addiction, because you don't want to be returning back out there. This is here where you be selfish to become selfless. And this is what I've learned. You know, I was so selfish in there. When my boy was saying, Dad, I just want to see you. And she was like, how long are you going to be back in there? How long are you going to stay there for? And I'm like thinking, oh, I'll come back out now then, shall I? That's where you're going to get back the bloke that came in. I'm not going, you know, I need to do this. Selfish. To become what I am today, which is selfless. You know, selfless. Doing stuff that I don't want to really necessarily do, because that inherent whole person's like trying to pull me back. But no, I am going to go and meet so and so when I don't really want to. And you know, when the phone's going, you know, oh no, I don't really want to talk to them. No, God, recovery. They might need that. Selfless. Oh, that's what it's taught me. My mind's been renewed on that. It's not about me. Step 3, we've already spoke about, me and you did earlier on. I hand my will and my life over to the care of God every day, and I don't mess about with that. You know, it's His way, it's recovery's way. Because my way got me into treatment. End of. And then we come to step 4. You know, wow. We always hear this, you know, sorts the men out from the boys and the ladies from the girls. We start doing, you know, that inventory, getting everything out. And I always, the way I always put it is, tell you what, there's a great massive, that video thing that we used to use on the 12-step thing at my church. It's a brilliant depiction of what a step 4 should be. But they show a video of an explosion's going off. Yeah. And then it cuts back to the bloke on the stage and he says, no, you wouldn't be wrong in thinking that was a World War II bomb, because it is. But you would be wrong in thinking it was a digitally enhanced video from the war that's been made colour today, like what all these programs are doing. He said, because that is actually Germany today. And World War II bombs are going off all over Germany and killing people. Because what happened was the Germans, to get back to normality, they built over unexploded bombs. And he says, and that's the same as your step 4. Says, if you don't clear the wreckage of everything and you just build over it, he says, at some point something's going to touch that and it's going to explode later on down the end of the finger. And it's going to take you out. And I just think, wow, that's a brilliant depiction of it. You know, the other thing that I say to the lads in the corps, you imagine if you've got a dirty cupboard, yeah, and the old John Tuner at the back, John West Tuner at the back, has been there for ages and stuff, and all the little crumbs that get in the corners of your cupboards and stuff. Clean it. You need a toothbrush in. Get it out. Don't leave no stone unturned. Boom. That's your step 4. Harms, sexual harms to me, to others. Yeah, resentments. I didn't realise I had resentment towards my dad until I'd done a step 4. No, when my sponsor basically said, you know what I mean, I've not heard you speak about your parents. You know anything wrong? Why would I have resentment to my parents? It's well, because you're only 40-something-year-old bloke I know that's not ever got a cross word. Well, no, we had our ups and downs, but, you know, no, that I really think, all right, nothing. Well, no, I suppose. I mean, my dad went pub every night when I was glue sniffing and getting arrested, and he used to come home and kick off and, you know, give me a smack and that. I said, but it never stopped him from going pub, did it? Oh, you're getting a bit shirty there. Your voice changed there. You sure that's not resentment? Write it down. You know, sexual harms. You know, you ever harmed anybody sexually? And I'm like, what? No, it was sexual harm straight away. My head went to rape. No, never. Do over like that. Oh, right, okay. You ever had any one night stands, Stuart? Well, yeah, I've had a few. Oh, but you treated them all like ladies, didn't you? I'm like, oh, you bastard. You know, makes you cringe when you think about some of these women that you pulled as young men in the nightclubs and that, and you've just pure lustful gratification for yourself, no thoughts about them, and girls that I've made walk home on their own, and you know, write them down. All this stuff that came out of my step 4, my defects, you know, that I can identify today. And I've got all that stuff out, worked a program around it, shared it with my sponsor, admitted it to God, admitted it to myself. And I work, you know, I've come through that step 4 into a step 5, done all that stuff. And then I'm going into step 6 where it's my daily workings. So now I know that I can be fearful. Now I know I can be angry. Now I know I can be this. I can directly go to God. And that's where I feel a lot of people fall down, you know. They don't really want to admit to themselves that we're actually arseholes. All right to say, you know what, I've given it to God. You know, God's done a work in me. Amen. All day long I will. All day long. Amen. What have you done? Have you done any work in yourself? Do you know that you can be envious? Do you know that you've got anger still there around somewhere? Do you know this stuff? You know, all these defects that I've worked out for myself, like through working in step 4, and then my assets. I had to speak to my sponsor 3 times to point out my assets.
Yeah.
Defects I could tick them straight away.
Yep. Better at spotting those.
Oh, I'm with you. But you know what? Assets, I needed them pointing out to me. And then my fears. you know, and all these resentments, you know what I mean? Resentments towards people, places, and things, and institutions. And like, I had to put the banks down. I had a resentment towards the bank. You know, what you got a resentment towards the bank for? I said, well, because, you know, I don't believe that there's not somebody there that sits in a great big massive office that gets paid loads of money that don't look at all these accounts and think, you know, that Hardy Taylor fella, look, he's not been playing his credit card account for a while. You know, we really, you know, let's get on him. And then all of a sudden, you know what I mean, 6 months they've been phoning me and putting payment plans in place and this and that. And then all of a sudden I pay him like £6,000 straight out. And they go, you're fucking great. He's just paid us £6,000. He's been really struggling. We've had to send him letters, charge him for all that. Yeah. I said, tell you what, and he's just paid us £6,000 out straight away. Tell you what, let's not even bother asking where he's got that £6,000 from, but let's give him another £2,000 on what he's just paid off and give him £8,000 back. So we can be back in the same situation in another 12 months. Because it's inherently he can't manage money. But if nobody looks at that stuff, they just keep piling it on and piling it on. Yeah. And I had a resentment towards all that lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it needed my sponsor to point out, but you didn't have to spend it, did you? Yeah, but they put it in my way, but you didn't have to spend it, Stuart. Just own it. So I had to work all that stuff out, you know, and this is what you have to do. And then you got your step 8. Oh, there's 6 or 7 there. You think you ask him to humbly remove your shortcomings and do that on a daily basis. And then you got your step 8, make a list of all the people that you've harmed, you know, and become willing to make an amends to them. And you only have to be willing, you know, just heartfelt willing to make an amends to them. You know, there's some people, some of them sexual harms, them girls, you know, I'll never see them girls again. Don't even know where they are, you know. But as I sit here now, as a reformed man, as a transformed man, as a man of God, as a man of recovery, you know, yeah, I can safely say I'm willing to see, if I see any of them now, I would say that woman on the night before I went into Thinger, I went to make an amends to her, and she says she didn't recognise me, and I went, yes, you do. She went, no, I don't even know you. And I went, yeah, you do. I said, but anyway, I'm saying sorry anyway, you know. But then, and then you step 9 when you go and make an amends. And you know what? I can't remember whether I touched on this before when I made an amends with my ex-wife.
Yeah.
You know, and just all that stuff. It's amazing. Just to sit there and just say, you know what? I'm here to say sorry for everything that I've done. It's massive. I love the program. I love the fellowship. I love everything it's given me, you know, and you know, my faith and all this. And I think I've already said, you know, it don't matter to me the way how anybody gets recovery, as long as you're just, you know, not drinking and drugging yourself to death, and not harming yourself and your loved ones anymore, and you're being a responsible person and giving back and stuff and everything that recovery give you, whether it's through whatever means. That's good enough for me. And that all comes into your step 10, doesn't it? You know, doing a daily inventory. And when I'm wrong, when I'm being a dick, promptly admit that I'm sorry, you know, I've been a dick. You know, and you know, when you can feel that stuff actually working directly, wow, man. There's been so many times where I know I've come out sideways, and I've just heard my higher power, I've just heard God just say, step 10, eh? He's not gone, Stuart. I've literally heard God say to me, step 10 now. That's how my faith and my steps all work together. He'll say, step 10 now. Go and say sorry. You know, and why is that? Why is that? Because you know that prison cell that I spoke about with the fear and all that lot, yeah. Right? You know, if say like I have an altercation with you, right? And I walk away in anger, yeah. I can hear the door slamming behind me. It's a prison cell of all time, all the time. I'm walking back into the darkness. I'm walking back into the devil's playground. I'm walking back into addiction's realms. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to start sitting in resentments and stuff. You know, and you might have just, I don't know, nicked an opal fruit off me. You know, nothing. But you know what? By the end of the day, I want to take your legs off for an opal fruit, because that's what my head is. It's like when that geezer on the boy on the bus once, yeah. I got on the bus with my boy, and this is how it works for me, yeah. I got on the bus with my boy. My boy's a big lad, and he was only 15, just turned 15 at the time, and I said 1.5, please, mate. And the geezer on the bus, he just went, looked at my boy, and he went, yeah, all right. And I went, excuse me? And he went, no, nothing. And I went, no, what was that? What did he say? And he went, no, what? I said, he's 15. And he went, yeah, like I said, I've just said, all right. And I went, you calling me a liar? Wow, instant, old man. That old man raising himself up again. Yeah, that old Stuart. And I stood on the bus with all these people watching me, and my arms flared out, just like, the classic, calling me a liar? You calling me a liar? Fucking 15, all right. Fucking call me a liar. And he's like, look, sorry, mate. Well, he didn't say sorry. He just went, look, mate, I've just told you, it's all right. And I went and sat down, and I sat on the seat, the seats that sit opposite each other on the bus. Yeah. My boy sat there, I sat there, and I just sat there like that. And my boy went, you all right, Dad? I went, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I said, I can't believe it. And as I sat there, literally, I just felt the presence of God again. And I just heard my recovery. I just heard God just say, we don't do that today. That was disgusting. I could almost see Jesus sat there going, that repulses me. That you can act like that in front of all these people. That's disgusting behaviour. And I sat there and I felt convicted, and I'm like, oh, man. And I just heard him say, practice a step 10 around this. I could hear the door going, as I'm getting off the bus, as it pulled into town, I just literally got off, and I just went, look, mate, I said, I'm sorry about that. And he went, no, you've done all that defensive. No, I said, no, it's not, mate. It's not all right. I said, my behaviour was disgusting. I said, I'm really, really sorry. And he went, oh, right, okay. I said, honestly, have yourself a good day. I said, I'm sorry. As soon as I just heard the doors just swing wide open, and I walked free. So anybody that's working your program, anybody that's in recovery, whether you're doing it steps, whether you're doing it God's way, if you've done something wrong, apologise for it straight away, or at least in the same day. At least in the same day. The Bible says that don't let the sun go down on your anger. Do not give the devil a foothold. And that works with me. That works with everything. I won't let anything, if I can help it, carry into tomorrow. I mean, if you upset me, I will guarantee you by the end of the day, I'm ringing you and just saying, look, I think you're being a bit of a knob there, Rich. But I tell you something, I'll allow you to be a knob today in my head. I will allow that. I said, but there's no way I'm going to allow you to be a knob tomorrow. I said, we need to talk, let's sort it out. And then we're all just going to keep walking in freedom instead of in these resentments, instead of in these prison cells.
Yeah, it's been straight.
Just bring everything into the light, and let's just all walk, just keep walking free, innit?
Well, look, at the risk of you thinking I'm a dick, we've done it again. We've gone an hour and a half.
Have we? Wow, man.
So there's still so much to talk about.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do a part 3.
Oh, man. Okay.
But,
good.
I heard that beeping. Yeah. So anything you want to finish on for this one, mate?
What? Poem-wise? Or anything? I don't know. You know what? I've just been talking for an hour and a half, and you've just stumped me, and I don't know what to frigging say. I tell you what. Why don't we just say, have a good day, folks? You know what? And we'll see you back in part 3.
Nice.
And stay safe. Stay safe.
Thanks.
Thank you, brother.